Step two. Step two is elimination. Step two is elimination. Now, I'm not going to call it elimination diet. I'm not going to call it elimination thing. I'm just going to call it elimination. It's the elimination lifestyle. And what that means is looking at the greatest and most difficult things that society engages in. Now, we could talk about eliminating social media and data from our lives, but what I'll focus on right now is elimination of things like wacky tobacco, its great sister alcohol, things like sugars, and if you're like me who unfortunately has a gluten sensitivity, eliminating bread and most bread-like objects. And then also, mitigating some meat consumption for those among us who have aversions to meat. We're not into it, if you're vegan, vegetarian, and so on. But this is about understanding that there are some things that we have so stapled in our society, so basic and commonplace, and we need to really take a critical, long look at these substances and say, this has got to fucking change. Now, if you're like me, if you might have heard conspicuously missing from that list was coffee. I love coffee, but by God, it destroys my insides. I get terrible acid reflux, and Lord knows what that's doing to my esophagus. So if you're like me, who suffers from upper respiratory problems because of my immunodeficiency that I used to suffer with, then coffee's very likely a thing to get out of your diet. Now, alcohol is deteriorating your teeth the minute it hits it, deteriorating your whole esophagus the minute it goes down it, and it is just doing numbers to your stomach when it goes into it, and when it crosses the blood-brain barrier, it's screwing your brain up, killing some cells. So if you're someone who suffers from an immunodeficiency, you suffer from sickness or disorder, you gotta get rid of the alcohol at the least. If you don't respond like I do to coffee, then don't worry about it. But alcohol is one of the easiest things to just say, nah, no more. Now, do I partake in the occasional party? I'll have a beer or two, have a nice mixed drink or cocktail, but I've been down those roads where I've had it every day. I've been in those positions where I come home and it's time to have a drink. But day after day, you start to realize you wake up, your bones creak a little more. I'm young, there's no reason I should feel this way. You're a little extra tired. Your rest wasn't that good, even though you got 7.5 to 8 hours. And you just feel foggy. And I would have to admit that alcohol, because my body, I'm such a delicate flower, guys. Such a delicate flower. And I had to just cut it out. I had to really drastically take a critical look at myself and say, this has got to go. Now, tobacco, I'm not going to give you a truth campaign ad here, but I've noticed that I get so irritated around people who are smoking. And not angry irritated, but like literally my throat and nose close up and hurt when I'm around people smoking, mainstream cigarettes. Tends not to be so much of an issue with, hand-rolled, handcrafted tobacco cigarettes, things like that, but the crazy formaldehyde, crazy 200 chemical soup that's in, common mainstream cigarettes are just debilitating. It's just gross and hard to be around and really screws me up. And there were times where I'd be feeling great, then start to get a little bit, I don't know if I'll be okay, but I'm around smokers, and that does it. That did it for me. I'd always get sick the day after, and it would be because I'm around those people. I know it. I was in a weakened state, and I got knocked while I was down, being around those smokers. I myself have never really been a tobacco smoker. Will I partake in a cigar occasionally? Maybe like twice a year, and pretty much avoid it like the plague. So alcohol, tobacco, maybe coffee. Now, if you're like me, I experience a lot of joint pain when eating bread. For some odd reason, I get constipated. I know, you're like, Jordan, why the hell are you sharing this with me? But hey, you made it this far, you might as well let me tell you. So, again, eating bread would cause me joint pain, would cause me inflammation, and I just noticed it was really non-nutritive. There was nothing that I was getting from this that was highly nutritious, that was changing the game for me and making me feel better. No, it was like a brick in my stomach, and as delicious as some fresh, flaky, good bread is, I just couldn't deal with it. I just needed to get that stuff out of my life. Now, as a little bit of a story here, I got my 23andMe done, was last year. And besides the awesome Ancestry stuff that I was so happy to find out about, I also got to see, and this is with the help of Dr. Rhonda Patrick, so if you're a subscriber to her or you've helped her before, she charges, I think, about $10 to have your genetic evaluation be studied, so you can get extra data thrown in there. And basically what I found out was, one, I need more sleep than most people. I have a late onset susceptibility to Alzheimer's if I don't exercise, get certain vitamin B's, and if I don't sleep. But I also found out that I had a gluten sensitivity through this. Now, being hyper vigilant when it comes to my health, I kind of surmised that there was some issue with gluten. I didn't think I was, a sufferer of celiac disease or had a wheat allergy, but I definitely felt like there was something amiss with my bread intake, and that I needed to drastically cut that out as well. And that really sucked, because in my culture, in most cultures, bread is, as my great grandmother used to say, bread is best. Bread is best, people, and unfortunately can also be the worst. The other thing that really, I save this for last because it is, we're so addicted to it in our culture, and that is sugar. Sugar it's not good. So, Dr. Gary Taubes, I don't know if he's a doctor, we'll just call him Dr. Gary Taubes. Mr. Taubes is a science writer for, I think it's, oh, cool. Gary Taubes is a science writer, and Gary was able to compile this entire book together called The Case Against Sugar. And he revealed that there's this unfortunate circumstance for those who, like me, have generations of diabetics in your family. So from my grandparents to my parents to this generation now, there are diabetics. And basically that means if I eat sugar, if I partake in eating sugar, I am screwed.